what is a Taku-He? Well, that's actually a pretty tough one to answer. According to Cryptid Quest blog, it's a Bigfoot-like creature from South Dakota that wears a top hat? Okay. I also found a Facebook post from Creature Weekend that again describes it as a Bigfoot-like creature, but in the comments section I got a little bit more information. Here it says that someone put Lakota words to fit their own context. The actual phrase is Le Taku-He, which means, what is it? Well, whatever it is, Taku-He is the subject of tonight's movie. It opens up with a film crew out scouting locations for their next movie, Anubis, God of the Dead. With a name like that, you would expect sand, pyramids, and lush farmlands? Sure, makes sense. Well, everyone's all excited to film here, including the farmers, Mr. and Mrs. Owens, who are going to get paid $2,000 just to let them use their land. As the sun goes down, the Owens rush back to their house, clearly afraid of something. But what? Reluctantly, the farmer tells them that a beast has been coming out of the woods at night and walking around their house. The director, Dallas, is intrigued, so he asks to take a look at a footprint left behind by the beast. After seeing it, he's even more convinced to film here.
Wes, check this out.
Back at headquarters, work continues on their new film, but they haven't forgotten about that footprint either. Producers Sylvia and Chuck just got back from an investors meeting, and they have some good news. They got the green light to shoot their movie. All the funding is there, and the script's been approved. Even more exciting for Dallas is Chuck was able to get $20,000 more just to film a documentary on the creature rumored to be in the town. So they waste no time, gather up their things, and head back to Riverdale. They set up a bunch of interviews, which all pretty much say the same thing. They saw a big hairy monster. For a moment here, I actually thought that these were real eyewitness accounts. It really does feel like a documentary, but I'm pretty sure they're all fabricated. The only notable one here is Han Solo. Yeah, really.
My name is Han Solo, and I'm from Taku-He.
He saw the creature walk across the road at night, but in the end, he thinks it's just robots created by the government to spy on off-grid people. Which, yeah, that checks out. I think this guy finally figured out what Bigfoot is.
Well, Han, that was most informative.
A little later, they head to the last interview. Mayor Robert Hill. He doesn't really have much to say, and he uses this opportunity to more or less advertise for the town. But don't think that name got past me. They named him Bobby Hill. While wrapping up for the day, a guy stops him and says he knows a thing or two about the creature, and to meet him at his place so they can talk. A little weirded out by this, and it doesn't help that this guy lives in the middle of nowhere, but hey, it's 6 against 1, so they have the advantage. They get to the guy's house, and it's actually quite nice, not the tin shack that they were expecting it to be. It turns out that this guy has a whole room dedicated to the beast, and he's the one who named it Taku-He.
The Taku-He?
They get his story, which really isn't that different from any of the others we've heard. His dog was killed by Taku-He when he was a kid, and he's been obsessed with it ever since. His only bit of advice is to not mess with it. It's nothing to play around with.
It can be deadly.
Being satisfied with all the interviews they got, they head back to the farm from the beginning. The Owens family still has their strict rules about being inside after sundown. And furthermore, they tell them that they're not going to let him into the house, which the crew agrees to. So they rough it, outdoors, sleeping in tents. Wes explains how he got into filmmaking, and it's actually pretty deep. He went to business school and wanted to work with the stock market, but it was his father that made him take up photography and camera work. His dad was an artist. He loved to paint, But that didn't pay the bills, so he had to give up on his dream to sell insurance. He didn't want that same fate for his son, so on his deathbed, he asked Wes to follow his dreams. And thus, here he is, a cameraman for what looks like a low-budget horror studio. Way to go. In the other tent, Chuck, Lois, and Liz all talk about how this crew is family, and how they stick together no matter what. I think Liz is going through some sort of traumatic experience, maybe a divorce, and she could really use the support. Anyway, back to Bigfoot. They all take shifts staying guard in case Taku-He comes by. And late that night, he makes his first appearance, scaring Chuck so bad that all he can do is play dead. The creature messes with the tents a bit until finally it wanders back into the woods. Needless to say, everyone's wide awake now, and Chuck tells them what he saw. Luckily, Wes put a camera with a motion sensor up in the tree, so they did get some footage. But, as you would expect, it's blurry.
I think Bigfoot is blurry. That's the problem. It's not the photographer's fault.
Well, they make it through the night, and in the morning they meet with Roger, a big game hunter and friend of Dallas. He leads them into the woods, dropping little flags as he goes, so they can find their way back. They walk and walk and walk all day, and really nothing happens. Roger can tell that this thing is smart because it keeps doubling back to cover its footsteps, and Liz gets a confidence boost. She feels responsible for all this because she was the one who found the farm. But, I mean, how would she have known that a Bigfoot was going to be there? Roger rejoins the group after finding what he believes is the creature's lair, or at least one of them. Most everyone at this point is ready to just nope out of there, but Wes wants the perfect non-blurry shot of Bigfoot, so he and Roger head in. After being in there for a half an hour, the guys come back empty-handed. Well, they did find some hair and some bones, but no Bigfoot. Right as everyone's about to head home, Lois commits the cardinal sin of Bigfoot hunting. She pees in the woods, and you just know Taku-He isn't going to let that slide. He kills Lois, and Roger takes aim and fires, but a bullet isn't going to stop it, and the beast attacks Roger. He stabs it in the leg to give the rest some time to run back to the truck. But remember how long it took them all to hike this far? It's gonna be a while until they're safe again. Well, regardless, they all run as fast as they can, probably getting poison ivy as they go. Eventually, Chuck trips and he's taken out, but that means the creature's busy with him for a while. Long enough for all the others to make it back to camp. All they need are the keys, but guess what? Lois has them, and they're not about to go back into those woods. The girls run to the farmer's house for help, Wes hides in a tent, and Dallas tries to get into the car. Wes is killed pretty quickly. I mean, did you really think you'd be safe in a tent? The girls see the Owens as their last resort, but remember, they specifically said that they wouldn't open the doors for him. Well, after screaming bloody murder and his wife insisting, Mr. Owens lets him in. Inside, the girls can catch their breath and tell him what's going on. But why does Liz have to sit right next to the window? You just know what's going to happen. She's attacked, and the creature cuts the power to the house, so they're sitting ducks. Mr. Owens has had enough, and he tells Sylvia to get the door, and he'll take care of it. Gun loaded, he points it outside, and at the first sign of movement, he fires, killing Dallas? Oops. But I gotta say, that was a great shot. Sylvia goes to close the door, and the monster attacks her. The farmer now fires at the right thing, and locks Sylvia out there with it. The three of them run to the truck with the creature hot on their trail. He takes aim and fires, but not stopping until the Taku-He falls. He thinks he's dead, but come on, you should know better than that. It looks like it's all over for the survivors, but then, out of nowhere, Roger pops up and kills the creature. But guess what? There's another one! He fights this one long enough for the girls to get into the truck and drive away to safety. surviving their encounter with the Taku-He. And that was Taku-He. All in all, a pretty standard low-budget creature feature. I gotta say, this one is really only for the hardcore Bigfoot movie lovers out there. You gotta be able to look past the non-existent acting and cheap-looking Bigfoot suit to enjoy this one. With that being said, I really do think that they did the best they could with the money they had. The thing about Taku-He is that there just isn't anything new here. They interviewed some locals, spent the night in the woods, and then got attacked. How many times have we seen this done? The only unique thing about this movie is the title, Taku-He. I will give the cast credit for their chemistry, which I thought worked out really well in their favor. You had the motherly figure with Lois and Liz, and then the unbreakable friendship with Dallas and Chuck. Maybe if this movie was made with real actors and an actual budget for a suit, then it would have worked out a lot better. But as it stands, this is what we have. It's gonna just blend in with all the other Bigfoot movies. I give Taku-He 2 gunshots to Dallas out of 4.
They approved the script, they loved it, they said no changes whatsoever.
No changes?
Nope.
Not even the lesbian Nazi zombie in the bathtub?
They're good to go.